Is the LG Phoenix 5 worth buying? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my LG Phoenix 5 review. So let's get started. So this is the LG Phoenix 5. This device is exclusive to AT&T Prepaid, and you can buy it at Walmart for $49. With the phone, we're getting a 5.7-inch display, so it is a bit smaller than other devices that I've featured here on the channel lately. The display itself is LCD at 720p. We're getting a PPI of 295 and a 19:9 aspect ratio. And with this form factor, you can see that we do have a notch at the top. We also have a pretty thick bottom bezel, and the bezels on the sides and even the bezel on the top is a little bit on the thicker side, but in general, it's a pretty decent looking phone. Now, this phone is the successor to the LG Phoenix 4, which was released about a year and a half ago, and I did feature that on the channel, but this phone is dramatically better than that device. In fact, the Phoenix 4 wasn't even that usable, in my opinion, and the Phoenix 5 is perfectly usable. Of course, it will not be nearly as fast as a flagship, for example, but if you are looking for a device to do calls, text messages, occasional social media, and web browsing, then this phone is certainly a good option because you won't be spending too much money. But you can see the display itself does look pretty decent. I'm glad that it is 720p because at this price, you really can't expect too much. And the colors are pretty decent as well. Now up top here in the notch, we do have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. And stay tuned to later on in the video as I'll show you photo and video samples from the cameras on the device. Now with this phone, we are getting 16 gigabytes of internal storage and microSD card expansion up to 32 additional gigabytes. Now 16 gigs of storage in 2020 certainly is not impressive, but that is to be expected for a phone in this price range. Now I did install a variety of my own apps on here, and the phone does come with a variety of different pre-installed applications too. I did already remove quite a few of them, but there's still a few left. But you can see that after doing all of that, I do have just 1.19 gigabytes of space available. So I definitely do recommend getting a microSD card to pair up here with the phone because you will run out of storage pretty quickly here. Now there's no wireless charging with this phone as you'd probably expect. There's also no fingerprint sensor or face unlock. So if you do want to access the device and still have security, you will have to add a PIN code. Now on the back side of the device, this is pretty surprising. We do actually have two different cameras here. So we have a 13 megapixel main camera and a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. So here's how things are with the main camera, then I can switch over to that ultra wide camera, and you can see that I can fit more content into the frame here. So I'm a big fan of having an ultra wide camera, and I'm really impressed that LG did manage to include that feature here with the phone. We also have portrait mode available. We can then flip over to the front facing camera as well and take different selfies. So you do get a variety of different options here. Now with the LG Phoenix 5, we're getting 2 gigabytes of RAM and the MediaTek Helio P22. Now neither of those are very impressive, but as I mentioned before, this phone is way faster and way better than its predecessor, the LG Phoenix 4. But as I mentioned earlier, this phone is definitely usable. I did run a benchmark test, so if you want to download Geekbench 5 on your current phone and see what result you get from the test, and then compare it to this device, then that will give you an idea of if this phone will be an improvement for you. But you can see here I got a single core score of 138 and a multi-core score of 489. So again, compare this to your current device to get a better idea of the type of performance boost that you will get. Now video recording with the phone maxes out at 1080p. The device features a pretty decently large 3000 milliamp hour internal battery, which will give you 11 hours of talk time. Now the battery itself is non-removable, so keep that in mind. And the software on here is Android 10 with LG's skin laid over it. But in general, I feel like the software is pretty decent. It's certainly not buggy, and the phone really doesn't lag at all when going through the interface here. But let's now take a closer look at the hardware. Now I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here, but in general I think it's a good looking device and it definitely does look modern. Now taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have the volume up, volume down, we have the Google Assistant button, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card, then on the right side of the phone we have the power button, then up top we have the noise canceling microphone, And then on the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, micro USB port for charging and data transfer. So it is a bit unfortunate that it is micro USB, But again, that's something that I would expect for a phone in this price range. And then we have the speaker. Then on the back of the device, we have the AT&T logo, LG logo, and then we have the camera module. But in general, a pretty simple design here. I do like this silver color, and I also like how it doesn't really pick up any fingerprints as well. So in general, I think LG did a good job with the design of this phone. A51 5G and the Samsung Galaxy A51 regular model. Now before we get started with the video, so in general, I'm impressed with the video viewing experience with the LG Phoenix 5, and the speaker actually does a pretty decent job as well. Now don't get me wrong, the speaker on this phone is nowhere near as good as pretty much any other phone that I've covered here on the channel, but again, this phone is only $50. So I certainly would not expect the best sound ever to come out of the speaker, but it certainly does work. Like if I had to sit down and watch YouTube videos for fun or watch Netflix or whatever, it does get the job done. You can also plug in your headphones, or if you want to go the Bluetooth route, you can do that too, but I really don't have any complaints. Now videos do max out at 720p on the phone, which is due to it having a 720p display, but things do look good. Now I know that earlier in the video I did mention that this phone is best for the bare essentials like calling and text messaging, but if you do want to use it for social media, I mean it does still work. You can see scrolling is pretty smooth on the phone. Certainly nowhere near as good of an experience again as you'd get with a $1,000 flagship, but for what it is, it does work fine. You can then swipe over and you can record stories. So I'm recording a story right now with the $50 LG Phoenix 5 that you can get at Walmart. In a story right now with the $50 LG Phoenix 5 that you can get at Walmart. You can then go over to your stories and view that content as well. So you know, all that stuff works well. So again, maybe not the smoothest experience ever, but perfectly acceptable for what this phone is supposed to be. Now, I did already cover this in my hands-on video that I posted about a month ago, but this is the box the phone does come in. It is pretty large, and we do have a door in the front where you can typically see the phone right here, and then some information about how to set up your AT&T prepaid plan. Then getting deeper into the packaging, you can see that we do have a micro USB cable for charging and data transfer. We have a USB wall adapter. We have some literature, and then we have a SIM card removal tool. So you do get everything you need here inside of the box. And one of the cool things about this box being so large is that if you want to pack the contents back into it, it's really easy. It's not like when you get a phone from Apple where it's like impossible to repack everything. But let's now take a look at some photo and video samples from the LG Phoenix 5. I'm pretty impressed with the photo and video quality from this device. Of course, there's plenty of room for improvement, but on the other hand, I've used devices that have taken way worse photos and videos that were way more expensive than this phone. So again, I'm totally satisfied with it. I mean, at a bare minimum, you can use this phone to take photos and videos that you can actually keep and share on social media and will actually look good. Another surprise too is the results that I was able to get from the ultra-wide camera. So it's pretty surprising as it is that they even included that camera on this phone as another bonus. But that camera does give you the ability to take some pretty interesting pictures, especially in outdoor environments. So I'm glad that they did include it. Portrait mode also works pretty decent as well, which is another bonus that I typically would not expect from a $50 smartphone. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the phone. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a front-facing video from the LG Phoenix 5. So let me know what you think of the quality from the device. Again, this is with the front-facing camera in 1080p. Also, let me know what you think of the microphone quality. And here's a test video using the rear camera with the LG Phoenix 5. We do have autofocus in video mode, which is awesome. This is with the main rear camera, by the way, just to clarify. It is a little bit in the evening right now, but actually good for taking photos and videos because there's not a whole lot of direct sunlight. And here's a test video using the ultra wide angle camera with the LG Phoenix 5. So in conclusion, is the LG Phoenix 5 worth buying? I think it's definitely a good option if you are on a limited budget. Considering that it is just $50, there's not too much that you're risking here by going with this phone. I mean, of course you don't want to waste money, but at the same time, if you're looking for maybe a backup secondary phone, or if you're looking for maybe a secondary work phone, maybe you're self-employed, for example, and you want to have a second line and pair it up with another device, but you know you're not going to use that phone very often, or if you're just someone that does use their phone pretty often, but you mostly use it for calls and texts, and occasional web browsing, and social media and video viewing, then the LG Phoenix 5 will get the job done. So I am very happy with the device, and I certainly do recommend it for people with a very limited budget. But I hope you enjoyed this video about the phone. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. But my name is Kevin, and I'll see you in the next one.